And our live mock draft Monday, we are doing full. Oh, geez. We are just going deep into this startup that is going on right now. Yes, why don't we just bring it right up for you? This is a 12-team best ball superflex tight end premium league, and we have IDP included. There is 6 point per passing touchdown, just a half point tight end premium, but wild points for the defensive players. Hopefully that'll push them up the board a little bit. That's the idea, at least. We don't know if that's actually going to happen or not, but we'll see. It did move Travis Hunter up the board. He went there at the 203, you can see. And so, yeah. Check in, boys. If you're in the draft room, you can go ahead and ask me any questions. Just don't ask me who I am going to pick next. That's right. Well, I'm not up till the 405, but we just finished up the third round, so this is like perfect timing for us to do a little analysis on the draft so far and give you an idea of what is going on here. We've had plenty of trades, not too many, but a decent amount here. First big deal was right up top at the 102. Mike Woe, the commissioner, went ahead and dealt with Matt English. Matt English had the 102 here. We just ran the randomizer 3 times and left it, whatever came up. We didn't do the derby where we sat and picked our draft slots. We just let it fly, see where we landed. That's why I'm stuck in the middle with the 105. I hate picking in the middle, so yeah, I'm stuck with it. But whatever. I mean, I'll get into my team in a minute, but back to the 102. So Jamar Chase went up top, number 1. The first time I've seen Chase go 101 in a Dynasty Superflex draft. Now, I don't hate the pick. Nothing wrong with that. In a best ball format, Chase is a game changer. League winning potential here, especially if you can land Joe Burrow with him. And I was sitting at the 105 and figured, hey, this dude, Grant, he could be looking for the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stack. And so the top 3 quarterbacks were rattled off right afterwards. Mike Woe, as I said, he and Matt English made a deal at the 102. What the deal was is the 102, 311, 511, and 711 picks for the 204, 304. No, 204, 409, 6, 9, and 704. So basically, Matt English got 5 picks in return for the 4 picks. He did not get an extra or a future first, which I was surprised, but he did get an extra player in the deal. So he ended up getting Brian Thomas at the 204 there. The 304, he traded up to get Nico Collins there at the 209. Had to give up his future first, and we'll discuss that as we slide down the board. You see Kyron Williams going there at the 401 to Grant, who took T. Higgins and Kyron Williams on the turn. And now it's on Matt English. We'll see what he decides to do here at the 402. But back to the draft. So the 3 quarterbacks went off the board. I was sitting at the 105, prime position for Grant to snap up Joe Burrow. And so I offered him my 105 pick for his 212, 712, and his future 26 first rounder. I hated doing it, honestly, because I did not want to drop back to the 212, but I figured if I was getting the extra pick and getting the 26 first, that I could live with it. But he declined it, and I jumped on Justin Jefferson. First time I've ever actually taken Jefferson in a dynasty startup. Exciting stuff to get Jay Jettas over in the birdhouse. I love it. So, yeah, I'm pumped. This is an exciting start. Then, as you see, it wrapped around, and Puka Nacua fell to the 208 for me. It didn't hurt that Saquon Barkley went at the 202, and then, as I said, Travis Hunter was pushed up the boards because of the IDP being added in, and he went at the 203 pick there to Steve. And so Puka went after Brian Thomas, Patrick Mahomes, Amon-Ra, and Trey McBride. So the only picks here that I question would be Saquon Barkley, and that's about it. I mean, Brian Thomas, Amon-Ra, they're all in the same tier as Puka. Now, some will argue Puka's up with CeeDee Lamb. I personally think he's around there. Like, I like Puka more than Amon-Ra and Brian Thomas personally. But to each their own. Like, I was praying for this to possibly happen sitting at the 208. I figured I could get at least Nico Collins there. And had the guy at the 207 taken Puka, I would have had quite the decision between Trey McBride or Nico Collins. So I'm glad that he just went with Trey McBride. I would have had, had he taken Puka, I would have had to decide between McBride and Nico Collins. So I'm pretty happy that he took McBride and left Puka there for me. That was an easy decision. I like him and his target volume slightly over Nico Collins. Even though Puka has Stafford at quarterback, Nico has the much younger Stroud. I believe Puka's got a fine home there in LA. I don't play in 5-year windows here. I play in 2 to 3 year windows at best, especially at wide receiver. Running backs, I'm looking at 1-year windows. So, anyway, then it came around. We had the 3-round reversal, 3rd round reversal. So you can see my Puka pick started a run on wide receivers. Nico Lad McConkey going at the 210, Drake London at the 211, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. at the 212. So Grant started off with a Chase Marv tandem, and then it went back to the 301, Omarion Hampton, Sam Laporta off the board, then Devon Achane, then, as I said, that trade where Matt English dealt that pick, the 304, highly questionable. I don't like it, but he wanted Nico Collins. Obviously, yes, I see Nico Collins in a tier above, but he had to give up his 26 first to move up to that pick, got a 26 third in return. But personally, I just don't love it. It feels like he's chasing his tail now to try and maybe get that first back or somebody else's first. But at the same time, you look at it, his start, and now he's got Brian Thomas, Nico Collins, and Drake London. You can't hate on that. I just don't know how much of a difference a Brian Thomas, Drake London, and JSN start or Garrett Wilson start would have been. But to each their own, and this is the way he wanted to build. And so I don't totally hate on it, but it's something I personally wouldn't have done. That's all. So we'll move on. I'm not going to tear apart Matt here. I do know that he's a Texans fan and obviously has love for Nico Collins there. But we'll move on from Matt. And let's get to the pick after me. It went at the 106, Ashton Genty to full tank. And so he starts off with a big splash there, taking the rookie Ashton Genty ahead of Bijan, ahead of Gibbs. Now, I've heard plenty of analysts saying how Genty could be right on the same level. I personally have Genty as my running back 3. I would take Bijan or Gibbs over him, but I don't hate it. Like, it's the same thing when you talk Malik Neighbors versus Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. Like, honestly, I thought about taking Neighbors at the 105. So I can't hate on it. I mean, it's the younger guy, Les Miles. Probably not looking for a win now this first year. I would hope he tries to stay young the rest of the draft, and he did. I mean, he grabbed Trey McBride in the second round, Bo Nix now in the third, so a pretty solid start there for full tank in Genty, McBride, and Bo Nix. All right, then we had D. Carter up, and he slammed in with Bijan Robinson, followed it up with Amon-Ra and now Garrett Wilson in the third. Solid start for D. Carter. After that, we've got Mike James in the house, and he grabs the Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes stack at quarterback. The big 1-2 punch there, and followed it up with Breece Hall in the third round. Good looking start there for Mike James. Probably have the top quarterback tandem, especially after you look at the 3 teams that went top 3 quarterbacks and did not grab a second quarterback yet. So you got to look at Hurts and Mahomes as the top stack probably in this league at quarterback. And then we got Mike Woe, the commissioner here. As I said, he traded up for Josh Allen. Then went Brock Bowers at the 109 and followed that up with his third pick was all the way. Yes, he waited until came to my pick. Excuse me. My pick at the 309 and 308 there. And if you can see, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and Bo Nix went, and he wanted to move up. And so he offered his 26 first along with his 511 pick. And the 511, I like that range there. I now have picks 508, 511, and 605. So 3 picks in a 10-pick span there at the back half of the 5th round, early 6th round. Plenty of talent still there, and so I didn't mind moving back to scoop up an extra 26 first into my back pocket, bank that pick, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how the board falls. I don't know. I mean, who knows when there's positional runs or whatever. That's 2 rounds away, basically, and so it's too far away right now to see what could possibly fall there. But I like doing it. He wanted his guy, Bucky Irving. That's why I threw him up there on the thumbnail for Mike. And, hey, I'm a Tampa fan, man. I love Bucky, you know. Out of nowhere, honestly. I mean, I had no idea he was going to blow up like that last year. And so he's going early, going as the 7th running back off the board, ahead of JT, ahead of Kyron Williams, and all the rest of the running backs. So Mike Woe loving some Bucky, and he gets his man. Right after that went A.J. Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Rashee Rice. Mike Woe grabs him at the 311. Love that pick. Then, as I said, T. Higgins and Kyron Williams at the 3-4 turn. Now, if we go back into the first round, after Brock Bowers, Steve was able to grab Joe Burrow, falling all the way to the 110. So, you know, I don't know if it was because I went Jay Jettas instead of going Jalen Hurts. Normally, honestly, I got to say, normally my drafting style, I would have definitely taken Jalen Hurts at that 105 to get my QB room solidified. That way I'm flexible in that I can try and grab a second QB early, or maybe wait on my second QB and get a decent third QB, or just play it as the board falls. But now I'm looking at it from a different lens, and I was able to grab Puka, and now I'm going to have very likely a pretty strong wide receiver room with those two up top. We'll see again how the board falls. But back to Steve there grabbing Joe Burrow at the 110. Then we had Spencer, Russ. We'll go with Russ. He grabbed Jahmyr Gibbs. Then at the turn, Ryan Hovde going CeeDee and Malik Neighbors. Beautiful grabs there for Hovde. And then Spencer going Saquon Barkley to team up with Jahmyr Gibbs. Little early for me for Saquon, but I mean, if you want to build that way, go ahead and build that way. You do you. He's got two running backs, then grab Laporta in the third round. If you heard my show last night, I talked about Laporta having a little artificial dynasty value right now. I don't love Sam Laporta. He seems kind of more like a middling tight end. The reason I brought it up last night, somebody asked me about a Laporta for Dalton Kincaid trade, and I know that Laporta had a tight end one season, overall tight end one season 2 years ago. But after last season, I don't see a whole lot of difference, honestly, between Kincaid and Laporta. So that's why I don't love that pick. But Spencer Russ is loving it. He wanted some Laporta, and he got his guy. Maybe he'll bounce back and have some bigger numbers now. With Ben Johnson out of there, we'll see what the new offensive coordinator, who was from within, the new offensive coordinator decides to do. If he gets Laporta more action, or they continue on the trend giving Jameson Williams more action. So, interesting there. But that's his build. He's obviously going to very likely have the strongest running back room. So he has that to build on in Jahmyr Gibbs and Saquon Barkley. We'll see how he goes the rest of the way. I bet, man, if Omarion Hampton would have been sitting there, that would have been interesting. He could have taken Achane or Breece Hall, but passed and went the tight end route. Now, after Saquon, again, we mentioned Travis Hunter getting all these IDP points. This one is stacked with IDP points, 10 points for an INT, basically 2 points a tackle. Now, I don't know Travis Hunter is going to get too many points on the defensive side, but literally anything he gets on the defensive side is gravy. I mean, the projections had Travis Hunter as 10th overall in this format that we're using. So, honestly, I was kind of surprised he didn't go in the first round. So I think it's a solid pick by Steve. Obviously, the kid's a rookie, so we'll have to see what happens, how the Jaguars decide to deploy Travis Hunter. I am big on him. I was taking him at the 102 in my rookie drafts multiple times. So, yeah, you've got no backlash on Travis Hunter there for me, Steve. Next up was Matt English grabbing BTJ. That was his first pick, so nice, solid, smooth route running, deep threat. He can do it all, BTJ. Now he might lose some targets to Travis Hunter, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, Evan Ingram's out of town, and it's really just BTJ and Travis Hunter now for receiving. It's not like Brenton Strange is going to steal targets from those dudes. So as long as Trevor Lawrence throws a decent amount, like 550 times, you're looking at 125 plus targets. I don't know if Hunter gets quite that many right out the gate. I wouldn't be shocked at all. BTJ probably 150 targets. So I think that, he's still going to score points. I don't care that Hunter is there. All right. Next up went Patrick Mahomes, like I said, to Mike James. Then D. Carter, Amon-Ra. Then full tank goes Trey McBride. Now, I thought McBride was going to go a little bit earlier, I'll be honest, in this draft format, because it is a full point. I mentioned it's a half point tight end premium, but it is a full point per first down for rushing and receiving. So that's one thing to note in this format. Now, after Amon-Ra, now those are for the rushing and receiving. It's also 0.2 per passing first down. So we gave a little bit something back to the quarterbacks as well to even things out. All right. After McBride, as I said, I took Puka, so I started off Jefferson and Puka. Love that start. Then Matt English traded up after Sam grabbed Nico Collins. When it got to his turn at the 304, that's when he did the deal, giving up a first for a third. And going ahead and getting his guy. That's all about getting your guy right there. Then Ladd McConkey. And now McConkey, I've heard people say he went as high as the 203. That must have been a pretty high wide receiver plus room or draft room. I don't know that I would have taken McConkey over any of those receivers ahead of him. So it just must have been, I mean, I could see Barkley going behind him, but geez, I don't know how I'd take Ladd McConkey 15th overall. That just seems a little rich for me. I like Ladd, but I don't know what his ceiling is. In that offense, Greg Roman offense, he was awesome last year, don't get me wrong. I'm not buying into a whole lot more of a ceiling, but I could be wrong. They did throw more last year than many people thought, and so Ladd McConkey could definitely improve on season one. And I could be wrong. I just don't know that he gets ahead of Nico, Puka, Amon-Ra, BTJ, those guys. It'll be interesting. We'll see. After that, Drake London went. See, Drake London I would be taking ahead of Ladd McConkey. But after that, you can toss up Ladd McConkey and Marvin Harrison. Most leagues, Travis Hunter in that range. I like Ladd a little bit over JSN right now. That's where I would slide him in. I would put Ladd behind Marv, but really splitting hairs. I mean, they're all in the same rough tier. I'd say after Nico Collins, then you have Drake London kind of in his own little tier, and then Ladd, Marv, JSN, and Garrett Wilson are all in the same mix, right? And A.J. Brown slides in behind him only because of his age. Like, the dude, I love A.J. Brown, and the dude can be top 5 again this year. And just because he's 27 years old, 27 years old is not that old. So we'll see. But I know there's low volume there, but he's hyper targeted. And so, yeah, great efficiency from A.J. Brown as always. And then after that, you have Rashee Rice and T. Higgins. So I think the receivers pretty much went in order. Like I said, maybe I'd flip McConkey and Drake London, and then everything would be almost cookie cutter perfect as far as I'd rank the receivers. So yeah, I don't hate on these picks. Little surprised some of the quarterbacks, younger quarterbacks, the ones coming up here that haven't been selected yet. Let me bring them up here. Here's the QBs left on the board. So you got Stroud, Herbert. This is just Sleeper's ADP. Stroud, Herbert, Caleb, Drake May, Baker. So you got a bunch of young quarterbacks here coming up that will get drafted soon. It's just interesting. It's going to be interesting to see when the run happens. That's all. Because it will, but maybe not yet. Maybe people want to grab the running backs before they fall. And or they're just willing to wait on the quarterbacks another round because it's best ball. And you can build a decent, solid quarterback room with 3 or 4 average quarterbacks. It's been done all the time where people have won best ball leagues with the likes of Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff and Geno Smith and Aaron Rodgers, right? Those 4 guys, none of them are even in the top 12. None of them were QB ones, right? But they were all in the QB 15 to 25 range. But you get 4 of those guys, and you just play the variance game, and one of them's likely to get 20 to 25 points at least. Likely 2, even 3 of them in any given week. And that way you're still, because it's best ball, you're still able to compete with the higher end quarterbacks. So it'll be interesting to see how long people wait on the quarterbacks in this draft. I'll be honest, I've never waited this long on quarterbacks, but I'm trying out a different route. Like I said, I only have one other share of Jefferson in a league that I had traded for him, and one other share of Puka Nacua. He's on an orphan team that I took over. So again, this is just an unfamiliar territory a little bit for me. Now, I've definitely started off with back-to-back wide receivers before, but generally speaking, like when we run the Derby and I get to pick, I'm always picking either in the top 3 or the back 3 picks. Like I like picks 10, 11, 12, or picks 1, 2, 3. I like doing that because then I don't have to follow. I don't feel like I have to follow ADP so much. I feel like, when it comes, you make your first pick and then it comes back to you just a couple picks later or right away if you're on the tail end. You're not picking again for like 20 picks. So if you quote unquote reach on somebody that's 10 picks away in ADP, you're just going and getting your guy. I mean, you can try and now that's, of course, if you're not able to trade back, but I try trading back a lot to acquire extra draft capital, future draft capital, or extra picks, whatever. I rarely trade up, but there's certain times where I do. I almost did for the 311 there. I didn't think that Mike Woe was going to take Rashee Rice. Honestly, I thought Rashee Rice would fall to me at the 404 or 405, sorry. But of course he didn't. And so I'll have to make a pivot and we'll see. Like I said, I don't know what's going to be there for me right now. It's 3 picks before I go, and I'm excited to see what could possibly be there for me. But yeah, that's where we're at. I don't know if anybody in the chat has any questions about their current startups coming up. Go ahead and drop them in the comments. Smash the like and subscribe. If you're looking for a roster review, Matt English and I, this Thursday night, will pull out a couple of roster reviews for our follower, Colin, otherwise known as S. Frosties on the sleeper handle. And he's got a couple of teams he wants us to review. And so we're going to take a look at those squads and see if we can help Colin out with his teams. One of them is super stacked, but it's only a 10-team start 10 league. So we're going to dive into how he can maybe do a little consolidation in that league for him. But otherwise, yes, go ahead and check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Birdhouse Dynasty Show. If you join now, $3 a month, you'll get a free roster review. If you want to just buy a roster review separate, you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Birdhouse Dynasty Show. Show the love, show the support for the Birdhouse community. We're growing, trying to get to at least 200 subscribers by the beginning of the 2025 season. I know we can do it. And with your support, as always, love having you in the Birdhouse. Thank you for joining tonight. And again, feel free to leave your comments laugh at some of these picks, tell them how bad they are, but also tell us what your favorite pick is, because we don't want to do all negative stuff. But, we got to admit our mistakes sometimes. That's how we grow and learn and develop as dynasty players. So thanks again for joining tonight. And remember to never stop working.